Facebook this morning is defending itself against accusations of political bias. An article posted Monday on the tech news site Gizmodo said Facebook workers suppressed conservative-leaning news stories in its trending section.
Overnight, the social media giant denied the claims. Tom Stocky, who heads up the trending topics team, wrote this: "We take these reports extremely seriously. There are rigorous guidelines in place for the review team to ensure consistency and neutrality. These guidelines do not permit the suppression of political perspectives." Gizmodo technology editor, that's Michael Nunez, wrote the article and joins us at the table this morning to discuss. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
So what made you guys look into it, and what exactly did you find?
So this started with the leaked document that was sent to Gizmodo unsolicited, and with that story,
A leaked document from
a Facebook employee revealing an issue at the Menlo Park office. So it was about a Black Lives Matter note being scratched out on their famous signature wall and being replaced with All Lives Matter. So Mark Zuckerberg issued a statement privately in an internal document, and that was leaked to Gizmodo. When we published that story, it emboldened some Facebook employees to step forward and say, well, you think that's good? We have more information. And every time that we've published a story in the past 2 months, more and more employees have come forward with more revealing information. In the most recent case, we found that Facebook is sort of misleading the public about its trending news column.
How?
So it's misleading the public by saying that an algorithm is sorting what people are able to see. But what we've found is that a select group of about 20 journalists, young 20-somethings, often Ivy League educated or from private East Coast schools, are the ones that are sorting through the news feed and determining what people are able to see and, more importantly, what they're not able to see.
I thought that was interesting that you pointed out that they were from Ivy League schools. What are you trying to imply?
Well, I think that there's a selection bias with these editors, right? So these aren't seasoned New York Times editors. They're certainly not people from the Chicago Tribune. These are contractors in a lot of cases. They're low-paid workers that don't get the same benefits as Facebook employees. And I think that we just tried to report the information as we saw it. So in this case, we saw that these students were primarily East Coast educated, and we reported that.
Now, you write, however, in your article, quote, "There is no evidence that Facebook management mandated or was even aware of any political bias at work."
Correct.
So there's no indication that management had anything. This was some rogue employees, or?
No, I don't think it was rogue employees. I would call it an institutional failure. So, when, you showed a quote earlier about neutrality. Well, the fact is that they've set up a system that allows for human bias to enter, to impact what people are able to see in their feeds.
Facebook said popular topics are first surfaced by an algorithm, then audited by a review team that is not allowed to discriminate. It says it has designed its tools to make discrimination technically not feasible.
Well, I think that certainly that they can say that as much as they want, but, the fact is that we have evidence of them blacklisting, in a lot of cases, conservative news. And
what's a particular story that they blacklisted?
Well, so the CPAC conference, for instance, as that was going on, that was not allowed to trend in Facebook's trending news feed. In another instance,
not allowed means?
Not allowed means, so every single topic that is shown in the trending news feed needs to be activated by one of these curators. So they say, yes, this is okay, this is a news event, and we'll allow it to trend. The problem is, and so when they do that, they write a summary of the news event, a headline, and find some corresponding stories. The problem is that there's such an emphasis on numbers among these curators that they often choose easier stories like Kim Kardashian posting an Instagram photo. That's a lot easier to summarize than something as nuanced as Ferguson protests or the Darren Wilson case or something along those lines.
And
something that's not one-dimensional.
Censor it. Why, Michael? Why would they want to censor it?
I don't think that this was an intentional. I don't think it was an intentional bias that's at play here. I think this is just a system that they've put in place that allows people to inflate news, basically using something called an injection tool to force news into the trending topics, and also suppress news, so they can also blacklist news. And so, I think when we discovered that they were both artificially inflating, and also suppressing news, that calls into question the legitimacy of the trending topics entirely, right? These aren't exactly trending topics. They're being selected by an editorial board.
For those viewers who don't know, tell us what Gizmodo is.
Gizmodo is a technology website that's focused on the future. We are interested in gadgets and things that will impact our future, and so social media is definitely a part of that. It plays an important part in our political discourse, and that's why we started to look into this in the first place.
And what are the implications here, in your opinion?
Well, the implications are huge. You know, this isn't just a newspaper, right? You know, there's nothing wrong with Facebook having an editorial board and choosing what the most important stories of the day are, but they need to be transparent about it, right? You can't call that a trending news section if these topics aren't legitimately trending in the first place. You know, we found evidence of them populating the algorithm with topics that weren't trending on Facebook at all. So those are called external topics. So in several instances, we found them manufacturing trends, and
Have
so
you reached out to them to talk to them?
yes,
to get
we
their
have,
point of view?
and I think that's another telling sign. You know, we gave them 3 days to respond to a series of questions about all of the facts listed in our story. They didn't respond to several emails and several phone calls. They still haven't. After we published the story, I tried calling them again and emailed, you know, a series of their communications representatives. No one has gotten back to me, and to me, that was a very telling sign.
Thank you, Michael.
Right,
Thanks.
thank you, Michael.
Michael's going to be trending.
Yes. Something tells me they're going to want to talk to you. Thank you, Mr. Nunez, for
Thanks.
joining us today.